Hey, what's up guys? So in this video I'm going to show you how you can create this interesting beautiful circular shape t-shirt design inside Inkscape. Now the purpose of this video is not to show you how you can create the same exact design, but the purpose is that to show you different tools and features of this software so that you can create your own designs in a similar style. So if you are interested in that, let's get started. So here I have opened up the Inkscape, and this is by default what you will see. Now you might see the interface in white color, and that is because that's the default view and default settings for this software. I have just changed it to a dark theme because I prefer to work it in this way, and also I have increased the icon sizes of different tools and different other menu bars and stuff. And if you are interested in making your Inkscape look exactly like that, so this is how to do it. So go to the edit and then go to the preferences. So in the interface, choose this option called theme, and I have chosen the theme to be use the dark theme. And in the icons, I have chosen this option of creating each and every icon different sets, and I've chosen the option of small, and I have chosen the icon theme to be multicolor. So that's basically all it. And in addition to that, you can see there is a floating window of objects, and the way I got it here is that I just went to the object and I selected this option called objects. It popped up at this window of objects in the right side, and I just separated it out and put it here because I am going to use it regularly in this design process. Now that our interface is set up, let's move on to setting up the document the proper way, and to make it suitable for our t-shirts design, and make it according to the size of merch by Amazon. That's what I am going to focus here. So in order to do that, there are two ways you can go to do that. You can go to the file and go to the document properties, or on the right hand side there is this small triangle that you see. If you make your icon small instead of a smaller, so you will see this small triangle. And if your icons are just smaller instead of small, there must be an icon here, and if you hover over that particular icon, you will see this option called document properties. So I'm going to select this document properties, and I'm going to change the display units from millimeters to inches, and I'm going to change the size to also in units in inches, and I'm going to change the size here to the recommended size by Merch by Amazon, that is 15 by 18 inches. So that's all I need for now in this document properties window, and I'm just going to close it. Now this is the document that we are this is the page or the document in which we are going to work. So let's start by creating a circular shape here, and let me just zoom in a little bit. And on the left hand side you can see different tools. I'm going to select circular shape, draw a circle. By pressing the control, I will be able to make it perfect circle, and I'm just going to release it. I'm going to go to this select this black arrow tool or the selection tool, and I want to align it at the center. So the way I do it is just go to this again small triangle and choose this option called align and distribution. It has opened up this new tab or maybe window you can say. So I'm going to select this option called page in this relative to these things, and I'm going to choose this center vertically and then center horizontally, and that's all I need. So either I can just close it or put it on the side here, so that if I need I can just click it and it just pops back up. So it totally depends upon you. Now I do not want any kind of fill color to this circular shape, so I'm going to go to again this option again small triangle, and I'm going to choose the fill and stroke, and I do not want any kind of fill, so I'll just cross it. And for the stroke, I would say that I need it to be black for the moment, just for the moment, and the stroke width I would like to be a little bit smaller, and I just change it to the inches. So maybe I think that looks fine. I think that's fine for now. Now we want to put text on our circular shape. Let's just hide this for a moment. So now we want to put the text on our circular shape, and the way to do it is just to first type the text that you want on the upper side. Let's say on the upper side. So I'm just going to click at the center here, and I'm going to type the text that I want on the upper side. So this is the text that I want on the upper side. I'm going to press Ctrl and then drag it up to make it a little bit bigger. That looks fine, and I'm going to change the font. Now if you want to change the font, that's how you do. So there is this option called actually there is, again you have to go to this small triangle and choose this option of text and font, and in that you can select different fonts that you have already installed on your system, and change it type of the font, regular, bold, or whatever you want. So I'm just going to select a suitable font for this text. So once you select the font that you want your text to be, just click apply, it will change your text to that font. Now we do not need this text window anymore, so just close it, and let's just scale the text again, just like that. I think that looks fine. Now in order to put the text on a path, we are going to select both the circle and the text, and I'm going to go to the text and choose this option, put on path. Now by default it has put it on this area. It totally depends upon, sometimes it puts this, sometimes it puts at the top. You cannot actually rotate the text as it in this form. In order to rotate the text, you need to rotate the actual shape on which, or the path on which the text is. So I'm going to select this circular shape, and it has the option of scaling up. Now if I click again, it has now given me the option of rotating, so I'm just going to rotate it and put the text at the top. I think that looks fine, and this is looking pretty good. Now if I want to change the font font size of this text, I can do it by double clicking on the text and selecting all the letters or alphabets, and let's say I want to make it maybe 144. That's too big. Let's say maybe 90 would look good. I think that looks fine, and maybe 120, and let's choose a smaller size, maybe 110, and maybe a little bit small. I think 100 would look fine in this for this particular design. So again we are going to rotate it by selecting the shape and double clicking it on it again to give us this rotation option, and just position it at the top. Now if you want to make it exactly at the center, and so that here all the letters are in the same at the exact center, what you need is choose this small arrow tool or the selection tool and drag from the ruler curve. So I'll just put it here, and as you can see that the edge of the S is actually coinciding with the edge of the N, so which means that it is perfect at the center. If it does not, we can just rotate it and make sure that both the edges are at the line that we have just produced. So let's just hide it by bringing it back at the top. Now we want another copy of this text, but we want it at the bottom. So I can again create a copy of this path, and then or I can just copy this whole thing and change the text later on. I think that would be a much easier way to do it. So I'm just going to select everything, press Ctrl C, and in order to place it exactly at the same thing, either I can go to the edit and then paste in place. This is the option here you can choose, and it is pasted exactly at the top. Now if we want to bring the text at the bottom, what I would need is that at the top I would want the option to flip it. So I'll just flip it, and it has flipped the whole thing, and now it is now off centered, it is not at the center, and the reason is that we have selected both of the objects. So let's just undo it and select only the circular shape and then flip it. Now the text is actually at the center inside of our circular shape, but we want it to the outside of this circular shape, and the easiest way to do it is just increase the size of the circle. So I'm just going to press Ctrl and Alt and then drag the size. I think you need to press Ctrl and Shift instead of Ctrl and Alt. So I'm just going to increase the size so that our circular shape at the edge of the top letters here I think that looks fine. And now we can change our text. So let's just change it to the second part of the phrase that we want. So this is the second phrase that we want, but again it is not perfect at the center. We need it to be center. We are going to double click on our circular shape on which the text is, and then rotate it to place it here at the center. Now the thing is that the letters are too close to each other. We need to have some gap between these letters. So in order to do that, we are just going to double click on the text to select each and every letter, and in the top option there is if you hover over this option, you will see that there is an option called spacing between letters. So you just need to increase the spacing until you are satisfied with the result. I think that looks fine. Let's just rotate it again to bring it at the center or almost at the center. Now if you do not like these strokes on these shapes, what you can do is that in the objects panel you can just hide it for the movement, and hide this one. So this is what we are getting at this moment. So let's just unhide these things. And the best practice I would say is that to name the different parts in this object panel, so that when you are editing or selecting the objects, you know which path is where. So I'll just name this path at top text path. I'll rename this text as top text, and the same way I will just rename the other two. So that looks fine. Now at this point I would say that you should save your document, so that in case of accidental crash you do not lose any of the work that you have done. So now I want to make sure that this bottom text is also at the center. So again I'm just going to drag a line from the top, and it seems like it is pretty at the center, maybe slightly off here, and you can again select this circular shape and rotate it a bit and make sure that it is almost at the center. I think that is looking pretty good. Yeah, that's looking fine. So let's just hide this line again. Now this is looking fine. Now it's time to include the center element, the center design element, and for that purpose either you can design it your own or you can download some of the free public domain graphics online. So for the simplicity of this tutorial, I'm just going to bring in a public domain graphic that I have downloaded from OpenClipArt. And in order to bring any kind of external artwork into your document, either you can go to the file and choose the option of import, or in these icons option on the right side you have this option of this. If you hover over this icon, you will have the option to see the import a bitmap over SVG image. So after selecting that option or selecting the file in the port dialog box, you will see this import option, and by default it might be linked or embed SVG document image or something, but include I would say that you should choose this first option called include SVG as an editable object in the current file. In this way you will be able to change the colors, and it will still keep it as a vector. So that's the best way to do it. So I'm going to press OK. Now let me just zoom out a bit. By default sometimes it happens is that you do not see your document as it, and it is because sometimes this might be a bug in the software, but sometimes it happens that if the design itself has some kind of gradients or something like that, or complex colors, it sometimes opens up as a blank shape. And as you can see in the objects, we have a path but it is pretty blank. So the easiest way to fix is that go to the fill and stroke options in this dialog box. So we have fill and stroke, and change the fill color from you can choose none, and again select any kind of color or maybe gradient. That totally depends upon you. So if you select that, your object will reappear. So let me just change the fill color to maybe gradient, and choose this tool of gradient coloring tool. So in this toolbar, so in that way I'm just going to make it a vertical gradient. So I'll just put it here at the top, and another node of this gradient will put at the bottom. By pressing the control, it will give you this perfect degrees, and you can make it straight you can say gradient shape. Now in order to change the colors in the gradient, you can either select top or bottom node. So I have already selected this bottom node, and I want to maybe change it to maybe red color. I think that looks fine. and the top one I want it to be the top one I want it to be, you know, kind of like orangish shape. I think that looks fine. And I think the bottom one has some kind of transparency, so again I'm going to select this bottom node, and yeah, it has a transparency to alpha mask, something like that, opacity, and I'm going to increase it and make it 100%. Now I want another node to be placed in between these two stops, so I'll just select the top one and I'm going to press a new insert new stop. So once I do that, it has placed a new stop at the center, so I'm just going to select this one and maybe change its color to maybe slightly kind of like a yellowish theme, and I think that looks fine. You can always come back and change this color if in the final design if you want. So let's just select the top one and make it a bit orangish. That is looking fine. For now, let's just keep it as it, and just scale it down a bit, and you know, to make it at the center of this thing, or you can just maybe slightly larger. That totally depends upon you, what how you want it to be. I think that looks fine. So now I wanted to bring at the bottom, so in the objects panel I'll just select this on this path and choose this option as that move to the bottom, and it has just bring it at the bottom. Now what we want is that we want to clip it inside this inner circular shape, and before I do that we need to make a circular shape at the center. So I'll select this top text path, copy it and paste it in place, or you can just, you know, paste it, it doesn't matter, and again you can just align it as using this window of align and distribution. So now it is at perfect at the center. We can use this top text path. Let's just bring it down a little bit, maybe at the bottom, and maybe move it above the paths ocean, our ocean and sun. So I'm going to select this text path, and what I need is that on this text path is that I do not want any kind of stroke, so I'll just cancel any kind of stroke on this thing, and then I'm going to select this bottom by pressing the control, this ocean shape, and in the object I'm going to choose this option called clip and set. Now it is perfect at the center of our shape, and if we do not like it at the center, I think it's slightly off center, so we can undo it and move our, you know, this this ocean at the center. I think this is looking fine. Let's just select the both again, go to the object and choose this option called set. Now this is looking pretty fine, and one thing more I would suggest is that you can color this outer circular area as well. So let's just do that by pressing and creating a new circular shape at the center. I think that looks fine. We can just again align it. I think this is looking fine. This much spacing should be enough. Let's just hide the text paths for the moment. Let's just delete the fill color and have a stroke color instead, so that we can see where our shape is. So I think we need to make it a little smaller, maybe something like that, and we can create another copy of it. So Control C and Control or Alt V, it is the same. You can say that option as, you know, edit and paste in place. So we have a copy of it, and we can again scale it up a bit and move it on the outside of the text. I think this is looking fine. Now one thing you might notice that the inner circular have the stroke smaller and the outer circle has the stroke larger, and that is because in the top we have these options checked as that when scaling object stroke with the object as the same proportion. So if you do not want that, you can uncheck it, and that totally depends upon you. So I'm going to select this outer circle and inner circle. So now what I want is that to make these two shapes into a one shape, actually this outer circle shape and the inner circular shape, and by default the inner circle shape is at the top and the outer circle shape is here at the bottom, and we can select both of these and go to the object, actually go to the path and choose the option of difference. Now the path is actually selected, and what it does is that Now we can color it as a single object, and also it has now a uniform stroke on the outside and the inside, and then that's very helpful. So let's just change the stroke style and stroke width, maybe make it a little bit smaller, maybe make it 0.1 inches. I think that looks fine. And I want this ocean and this stuff to be smaller as well, and to do that I can just scale it down a little bit. And if I just unmask it or unclip it, release the clip, it would be a lot helpful to make it smaller. So I go to the object, clip, and release, and it has released both the circle shape and our this thing, this graphic. So I'll select this ocean and the circle, actually this circular shape, and make it smaller. And currently it's not visible. We can make it visible by selecting a stroke color. So I'll just make it a little bit smaller. I think that looks fine. And then I'm going to select this one and our ocean graphic, go to the object, and again put the clip and set it as a graphic like that. Now it's above our path, we do not want it, so let's just bring it down a little bit so that it's below these stroke colors. I think this is looking fine now. Let's just fill in the color in this outer circular area. That totally depends upon you if you want to fill it or not. So let's just choose this path and let's just fill it maybe with a single color or maybe gradient. Let's see which one looks better. I think this yellowish is looking fine because we are it has a theme of this summer season, so I think yellow is looking fine, maybe a little bit orangish. Okay, another thing that you can do is that fill these blank areas with different shapes, maybe star shapes, or maybe if you have any kind of summer themed shapes, you can fill it with that. Or you can simply choose any kind of pen tool and fill it with different shapes, random shapes that you might want. So you have this option of drawing freehand lines, so I'm going to choose this freehand option, and also you can use different brush strokes. So let's just use this freehand line and let's see how that works. So I'm just going to create some random zigzag lines here, and again another zigzag line here. I think this is looking fine. We can again use this node tool to change its nodes and adjust it accordingly if you make it a little bit any kind of mistake. We want to have it kind of an organic look, so I think these zigzag lines will look fine. So let's just increase the stroke size of these lines. So in the stroke style I want it to be a little bit thicker. That's too thick, so let's just make it a little bit smaller. I think this is looking fine. We can add some more elements, maybe some kind of dots here on circular shapes. So I'm just going to use this circular option and put small dots here and there. And I do not want any kind of stroke for these dots. Instead I want it to be perfect black circles. I've changed the option to the fill color instead of a stroke, and now I'm just putting some random dots here to make it look kind of an organic color shape. I think this is looking fine. You can select all of these extra paths that I have created at the top, and let's say up till this point, and choose the shift key to select the top one. So I'm going to just group them together. So in this tools option, on the right side we have this option of group selected objects. So I'm just going to click it, and it has just put it all in the single group. That will help us copy it and paste it on the other side. So let's just move it slightly upward, and we are going to create a copy of it and put it in place by Control Alt and V. It has copied it, as you can see in the objects. Let's just flip it horizontally, and pressing the Control key we can just move it on the other side. I think that looks fine. Now this is looking pretty fine. Let's see how it looks on a black background. To see that, I'm going to create a rectangular shape and put us in this one here at the back, and then bring it at the bottom. I think this is looking fine and it's looking pretty good. On the center, I don't think I like this gradient effect. Instead, I want it to be again a perfect simple color. So I think that would look fine. simple color and the same color as our outline, and I think this is looking much better now. Let's just hide our rectangular shape, and this is looking pretty fine. And if you want, you can again create a background at the center, a circular background, depending upon what kind of look you are getting for your design. I think I will like a gradient on this center graphic element, because the theme is actually the splashing fun in the sun. So I want some kind of a blue color in here. So let's just use that one, and showing this on to maybe slightly yellowish reddish thing, and let's see how that looks. And the top one I want it to be slightly maybe orangish reddish ocean, something like that. I think that is looking fine. I think I like these colors. We'll see how it looks on a white background. So that's looking fine. One thing more we can do is that change this outer circular shape if we want, or you can create a kind of like a sky element in the center, so using a circle shape and then filling it with a bluish type of color. So let's see how that looks. So let's just bring it at the center and align it maybe at this perfectly at the center, and bring it at the bottom. Change its fill color to maybe blue color, and let's see how that looks. I think this is looking much fine. A darker blue, kind of like a navy blue thing, or even black. Even black looks much better. I think I would like a black to be at the center. This is looking much better. So I'm just satisfied with this design, and it looks good on white, and also if it will look good on a black color, as you can see here. And let's just hide this background. I think this is looking pretty good, and now it's time to just scale it up. So I'm just going to select each and everything and just scale it up properly. I think this is looking fine, and it covers the maximum size of the document. Let's bring it up at the top. This is looking pretty good. Now our design is ready. Now it's time to export. In order to export it, you can go to the file and choose this export as PNG image, or in this on the right hand side you have this icon that is called export this document. If you click it, it gives you the option to choose different sizing DPI method. What I would recommend is that in the DPI, choose 300 DPI. That's very important. You must choose 300 DPI, and in the export area you should select the whole page if you're exporting it for much memory zone. So you can see that it has now given us this in pixel size, that is the recommended size by much memory zone, 4500 by 5400, and I'm going to export it as a PNG image and then upload it on much by Amazon, and let's see how that looks on the products, on the t-shirts. Now here I am on much by Amazon upload page, and it's looking pretty good on different colors, even on white color and dark colors. Now it totally depends upon you if you want to change the colors of your design after uploading it, and you see that it might look good on some different colors. As I think now the center design element might look good if I change the gradient color and all, but that's just just adjusting the design to your likes. So guys, that's all for now, and hopefully you have found this tutorial to be useful in creating your t-shirt design in Inkscape. If so, make sure that you like the video. It will help me with the YouTube algorithm, and if you are interested in more design tutorials and online earning and passive income, you can subscribe to this channel. It's totally free, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video, and thank you for watching.